All right.
Hey,
well, we're here. Yeah.
Man, it feels so good to be here. One, but two, it's kind of tough to go into a break the way that we have. Like, yes, it's good going in with momentum, but at the end of the day, I'd rather ride that hot hand.
Yeah, and I think we have something very exciting today, as we prefaced in the last episode that we were going to try to get some guests on, and we actually have our first returning guest ever to the show. So we've got Michael Allen here today. Talk a little bit about the team while we're in this international break, so everybody doesn't go quiet while we just wait for the soccer to come back. So
welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
It's great to be back. It's great to be back. I mean, I didn't know it was the first returning guest. That's like a dubious honor.
Yeah, I think we've only ever, we've had like two guests, maybe you and Tactics, NYCFC Tactics.
And Roar.
Oh yeah, and the Roar. Yeah, we talked to an Orlando podcast before. So yeah, the first returning one. So that's a great honor, I guess.
Post 90 alum.
Post 90 alum. Yeah. But in terms of what we wanted to talk about today, I think we realized that we're at the point of the season where we're about 20% of the way through the season right now. And we just wanted to maybe get your thoughts on what you think the state of the team is, going into this international break.
I think we're in a good spot. I really do. I think that last win against LAFC really it bolstered my confidence in a big way. It was just so refreshing to see. I mean, all year the big complaint has been we don't have a bench, right? We don't have anybody to chase that goal. And it was so refreshing to see Ronnie Dyla be able to go to the bench and bring in four guys who come in, and every single one of them impacted that game and changed it around for us. So, I mean, I think it's going to be great. I think this international break is great because it's going to give a chance for the Brazilians and all the new players to sort of integrate themselves, and all of the guys that were hurt to get really well and healthy. And I think we're going to come out of this break really, really, really on all pistons firing. I don't think the league's kind of ready for how good we're going to be. I feel like, and maybe that's positive bias, but I don't know. I feel good about it.
That's how it felt coming out of that LA game. Like, to watch that game gave me the feeling of when this team was brand new. It was like just feeling like an NYCFC kid again, of getting that late winner and kind of hoping that it wasn't going to get reviewed.
Yeah.
Which I think we're kind of happy we didn't have a good angle of that, I'd say. But yeah, the other side of that, though, like I was saying at the beginning, was you kind of would like to see that momentum be used towards fixtures coming up, but like you did say, yeah, we do want to get those new guys in and integrated into the team.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we talked about last episode was sometimes breaks can hurt you as much as they help you. So losing the momentum, because we're going into this next matchup with our last one being that late winner against LAFC, but after 2.5 weeks, how much does that really matter, right? So I think, like you said, Michael, the best thing that we can get out of this break is getting these guys that are all brand new into the system like a lot of valuable training minutes. Because I mean, if you look at Thales and how he played, he already seemed to be clicking to some degree before he had to get taken out with the team. So any more time with us it's only going to help us.
Yeah, he was really exciting to watch, and it was like 23 minutes that he got on the pitch, and he was substituted off for tactical reasons, I know, but he was really exciting to watch, just the way he was already starting to link up with Tati up there at top. And if those two guys can be creative and start knowing how each other runs and playing off each other like that with both of their creativity and both of their skill, it's going to be a dangerous duo up there. And we haven't even seen Thiago yet, so we don't even know what he's capable of. So there's a lot of positives with it. I think I would be more worried about the international break if we were coming back and facing like a team like DC that maybe didn't take seriously like we did the start of the season. We're coming back and facing New England, so I think everybody on the team hopefully knows the task ahead of them and knows that they're going to come in and have to really hit the ground running. It's not like we're coming back in and facing any sort of schlump. This is the team that's top in the East, and they're playing great, so they're going to have to come in and play. But it's good to have that little burst of confidence, and you could only feel sad about what could have been if we'd won that game against Columbus and we'd gotten that credit for that goal in Toronto. I mean, you take those two games, we have a great record, best in MLS.
I think we have like 20 points or something if we get those extra 3. It's or at least around there, maybe even tied with New England. But Yeah, those two games, I think we talked about it last episode too, but it was like the Blue Balls that tweeted like that these were karma points for the points that were lost at Toronto and Columbus. I thought that was like the perfect way to put it, because like something was due to go right for us eventually with the string of games that we were having. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, yeah, you look at the bad karma that we've had. How many, super shots, like that Heinz Ica shot from in DC, like he hasn't hit another ball like that all year, all season since then. That Nani shot that scored against us in Orlando, like those are shots you just don't stop, and it's just bad luck and bad karma. You can't fight those.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then from time to time we have, aside from the bad karma of players hitting the best goal they've ever scored against us, is we have bad luck with refs, it seems too. Like we're always on the poor end of a referee making like a super bad call and then admitting it immediately after the game, like, oh yeah, that was probably wrong. And it's like, so could we get those points back, or what are we gonna do about this?
Yeah, I've been pretty honest about how I felt about that Toronto game. That was probably the worst refereeing I've ever seen, and like across the board. And it wasn't just that one Medina call. That was just a really. It is sad. I don't know how we get these sort of games, but it was really nice to be the heartbreaker instead of the heartbroken. That's really nice to come out of that game.
So kind of going off of what you just said with some people hitting maybe the best goals that they've had, some of the best shots that they've had. It's kind of unfortunate that we've made Sean Johnson our captain, and all of these things that have happened to him. Like how, as a keeper, I wonder where his confidence is, and as a captain and a leader, to have all of those things happen and have it cost points. And I wonder where his brain is, and as far as you see him as our captain in this moment, because I remember last time we talked, you kind of spoke about how not having fans in the stadium really shows you how vocal he is, and so I'm kind of interested in your point of view now, with him being a captain, like with the R band, as opposed to maybe your views last year.
Yeah, he's I think it's always interesting when a keeper is a captain, because of their position on the field, that they're all in the back and they can't really be a part of the play on the other side of the field. So I think it's always a hard thing, but we've seen it before. Tim Howard did it really effectively. Sean Johnson, in just talking with him this year, I've had a couple chances to interview him after games and stuff. He's perfect for mentality of the team. He's a guy he works hard. Really is inspirational with what he's saying. That doesn't say a bad word about the team at all, ever, and that's a really great thing. And he's very vocal, and he is a natural leader. I just always like having a field player as a captain better. I don't know who you would choose. Maybe
I'd agree, yeah.
But Sean's, I think he's going to be a good captain for the team. It's just I wish he could get on the pitch, and talk to the refs more. And we certainly needed him on the field during that Toronto game for sure.
Yeah, that was probably one of the places that Ring really shined as a captain for us, because having him directly in that midfield, not only does his positioning help with a lot of situations with talking with refs, but one of the first things that we talked about when Sean was appointed was Sean doesn't necessarily, he's not in the right place to be able to calm down some of the hotheads on our team. Specifically Tati, because last year, you would see Ring giving it to our own players as much as he did to the other teams sometimes, like telling them to relax and kind of roping everybody back in so that he could yell on behalf of the team. But when you don't have somebody like Sean, within arm's reach of you, things could potentially maybe get a little more chippy. So
I think we've seen that too.
Yeah, either way, I mean, Tati, I think he draws the most fouls, or not draws, but he gives up the most fouls, like in the league usually, or close to it every year. So yeah, we'll have to see without Ring maybe keeping an eye on him and keeping him in check what the numbers end up this year, but it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
It was something that Ronnie Dylas said in a preseason, right before Sean was named as captain, or right after Sean was named as captain, where he talked about other leaders on the team, that he had really a three-tiered captain system, that Sean was captain in name, and then also Anton and Maxime Chanot were out there, and Maxi was a big part of it too. So I think within the team, there's sort of these designated guys that can be that guy on the pitch, and they have to be that guy on the pitch if Sean's going to be the captain of the team. Sean can talk during the breaks for sure, but yeah, you got to have somebody to keep the tempers down and to keep, people in control. And they have, pretty much this year. I've been really impressed with what they've been able to do. I haven't seen any big outbreaks so far this year. And you know, with Tati, he gets fiery, but that's what you kind of love about him, like as well. Like he's that player. I wouldn't have him any other way. So. Good for him. He's going to get some calls against him because he is that guy, but he's a terror for defenses because he is that guy too.
No, I think if there is a guy that when he's on the field, I would trust the most to be kind of up the field controlling things, it's probably Maxi. But how much are we going to see him on the field consistently is always the question. And so you kind of need to find that other guy, and maybe one of the new guys comes up and like Alfredo, maybe he develops into that guy. He definitely plays and like demands a lot when he's out on the field, and you can just see the way he plays. He's kind of got that ring fiery side to him when he plays, and so I can see him at some point maybe if he does decide to stay for a long time, end up being that guy.
Yeah, and I can see James Sands actually evolving into that guy too. I mean, he's already a workhorse on the pitch. He gets better every year. I can see in a couple of years him taking over the captain's armband as well. He's really becoming quite a player.
I was almost afraid to even bring it up because we originally, before we sent you our notes, we had a little something about the men's national team on there, but we figured that we would just get far too derailed and carried away, especially in the midst of everything that they're going through right now, and then leaving out somebody like James Sands when it's actually a position that they're lacking.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to love like the sound clips of Ronnie coming out and being like, I have no understanding as to why James Sands wouldn't get called up. Like, and I'm sure for Sands to hear that, I mean, he probably wants to play for Ronnie more than he did before he heard that. So it's
hopefully we can keep him.
Yeah,
that's my concern, is that we won't be able to look at our team in 2 years and say James Sands is still.
At what point does a Bundesliga team come knocking on the door?
Right, exactly. They're bound to come eventually.
Yeah.
He's made it clear that he wants to go to Europe, and we did sign him for that long contract, but he's I'll be surprised if he stays for the entirety of that contract. He's going to be too good, and he frankly should go play somewhere else too. He should get that experience if he can.
Especially as men's national team fans too, it would be in our best interest as fans of that team for him to go and play somewhere else and elevate to another level. But I definitely think like a lot of the business side of things that the club has been doing, like signing Tati to that extended contract, Sands to this extended contract, we're ensuring that they're not going to leave for free at any point. And these are some of the prospects we have on our team that if we were to let them go for free, it'd be one of the worst business moves that we could make, right? So I don't know. I just feel like things with this team really have been clicking like on all cylinders, like business side, all that stuff.
I think I have a bit. It's in the notes, but I think it's more of a controversial question because there's so many of them.
Oh,
Who is your favorite left back at the moment, and who do you think offers in that question? I guess who do you think offers the most in general to the team?
I think we saw the starting left back in this last game on LAFC.
I agree.
I think Melde Amundsen is the guy that he was going to be the guy. Came in. If he hadn't had the problems with his visa, he would already be starting. I really do feel that way. And that's taken nothing away from Goody Terrenson. He's really done well this year and risen above what I thought he could do. He's also got a great free kick, which nobody knew about that either. So, I mean, Goody brings some things to this team, and we're going to see him in rotation quite a bit too, because we're getting ready to play 2 games a week for the entire month of July and August. So he's going to play a lot, but I think Melde is the starting guy in my mind right now. And I've been actually really impressed with Chris Gloucester when he's come on too. I think it's good that he's doing this loan, getting some game time experience. But when he's been on the pitch, he's done really well too. So I think left back is stacked. It's crazy how good we are at left back. So, but Melda's the guy for me.
Yeah, as far as Gloucester goes, I was almost sad to see him go as much as I'd like seeing him get the opportunity, because at the end of the day, he was really electric whenever he came on. Like he gave a spark to the team when he got on that I've not seen from a sub maybe since like Jack Harrison when he would get subbed on early on in his NYCFC career. But he just offered so much, I felt, attacking wise. We were playing him kind of on the right wing almost at certain points, and he was electric. So I was sad to see him go. But I agree. I think Malt is the guy going forward and has to be the guy. And we need James Sands dropping between the center backs too, to allow Malt his freedom.
I agree. I mean, I think everybody that would listen to the show knows that we're Malt fans over here, without a doubt. I think defensively, you almost can't compare Thor to him. Attacking wise, I don't know. I think they're maybe pretty close attacking wise. I think really the only way that Thor has looked better is because we've seen more minutes from him. There were a few times in the LAFC game. Was that the one where he almost hit the Ripper, I think, or was that the game before where he...
That was the last one.
Yeah. He took that volley. It's like if that thing went in, it would have been crazy. But I think a little bit of what he has to work on, which really I think only comes with minutes, is like a first touch. I think a lot of times some like Acevedo found him in a couple perfect spaces in that LA game, but he just wasn't able to handle the ball coming to him in a good way to keep the attack going and possession overturned or something like that. But I think first touch really only comes with minutes played, because I think that's more of those skills where it's just getting used to it. It's not really improving it at a certain point when you're already so professional. So
right. I think with Thor, you get more of a direct, like he's gonna play the ball down the left wing. Whereas you saw Malt's like passing graph, it showed basically all of the passes he played, and it's like there's more creativity in what he's doing. Like he's thinking more than just, okay, somebody's sprinting down the left wing, let me hit him, or let me play this ball into the midfield and see what happens. And plus he defends at all, and I don't think Thor really cares about defending, which some days is fine. If we're playing Cincinnati, that's perfectly fine. If we're playing LAFC, that's just not going to fly.
Absolutely.
And so, I think Malt all around is probably the best. Then the Roach, I think the Roach is useful in a different way. He's kind of almost like Gloucester. Ronnie has this way of just fitting anyone wherever he wants, and it kind of tends to work out.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was kind of funny to put Tony Rocha on the list, just because I don't know, we have a love for him personally, just as a player, because the Roach, the nickname we have for him. But there's probably not many situations, if any, where he's gonna start over Malte or Thor.
Cincinnati, if we play them again, now we know. Cincinnati, he can play.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tony Roach is that guy you want to have on every team, because he can play every position. I mean, one day he's going to go in for Sean Johnson. He's like the utility player that can fill in if you need a spot. I don't think he's going to see much of the pitch anymore now that we've got these reinforcements. But he's a guy. He's a good handy guy to have in the field, because he does everything pretty well.
I think we'll see him if Ronnie likes to go back to that all left back lineup that he's been teasing. I think that's coming soon.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask about reinforcements. So there's been all types of rumors, as there always has been, about this team. Maybe we'll get Messi one day. Maybe now the rumors are people like Sergio Aguero.
Well, we were
him
begging,
too, right?
We were begging for him.
Sergio Ramos, and before the other day when everybody found out that Giroud was re-signing with Chelsea, there was another rumor that people were trying to make out to be real. But one thing that I had a question about was on Twitter, we saw that you weren't too fond of Sergio Ramos, but you definitely were all about Giroud. So what is the difference between the two of those players?
Yeah, part of that is I mean, I think it's both of them are aging stars, and both of them are outright stars in their own right. Part of it is personal for Sergio Ramos with me. I don't really like him as a player. But I also think that it's in MLS, signing a defensive back to a DP contract is much more of a experiment than signing someone who's going to come in and actively create goals. I mean, Giroud is playing at Chelsea, winning the Champions League this year. Like, he's a guy that's contributing to a team at the highest level already right now. Ramos was hurt for most of this year. He's a defensive back. Giroud's going to put balls in the back of the net, and that's what NYCFC needs. They need that true number 9 striker, and that's what Giroud would give you. And I just don't think we needed another Sergio Ramos. I think he's a great player, and he's done great things in his career. I just don't really think he's worth the money, and I think Giroud would be. I don't think that Ramos would require too much contorting to make him come here, and I think Giroud might be worth it, but Ramos I don't think is.
Yeah, I think one of the things we tweeted was that I don't think anybody disagrees that he would come to an MLS team and be one of the best players on the team overnight. But that if there was to be an issue with it, that financially there might just be way too many hoops to jump through to try to bring somebody like that to to NYCFC.
Well, if you think, how do you take one of our two center backs out right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, yes, it's Sergio Ramos. Like, most teams would just move somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think both of our center backs have been playing good enough to stay.
Okay.
And I think Sands is better than... I think Sands is the best center back on our team, but that's just one of my hot takes that I like to have.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys are playing lights out. Chanot has looked great this year, and Collins, when he's playing, he was hurt a little bit for a couple of games, but he's been playing great too. I've always been a fan of that tandem there in the center, and yeah.
Well, and Ibiaga showing his worth as well, always being available.
He's the best signing that we've ever made, I think, as far as like bang for your buck. For what we would pay for him, for what he has been able to do in backing up both those guys, fantastic. Ibiaga's been great.
Outside of his Matarrita-esque tackle to allow that free kick, that freak
against
kick,
Columbus, yeah.
Which I still don't understand, but I have just learned to live with it.
That was about as out of character as like I've ever seen from somebody like on a soccer field, because so that week we weren't gonna record an episode. I think it just fell on like sometime we were taking a break, or we weren't able to make it work.
It wasn't gonna be a good product.
So we were just sitting in Discord like at 10 o'clock at night, just talking about the game and doing play-by-plays and replaying stuff in slow motion. And we watched that Ibiaga thing like 10 times, and we're like, all right, we're recording an episode right now. And we got everything set up, and we did it because it was just so, I don't know, it was something so demanding to talk about. It just didn't seem like it was even him controlling himself there. I mean, he kind of just was a deer in headlights and just caught himself ball watching, and then stuck his butt out, took out the player, and
with help.
It
reminded me of that City Field Matarrita challenge, where it's like, it just against Toronto, it just didn't need to happen. You had help, and you just wonder what if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, guys, if Zillarain doesn't get the ball over the wall in the back of the net there, and that wonder free kick that he makes, we're not even talking about Ibiaga's foul at the end.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's true.
Although that wall was
no, the two different ones. That was the one where he hit it over the wall.
Right.
The first one was the one where he just...
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure that there's much that could have been done about that second goal, but definitely that first wall is just one of the most unbelievable things that I've ever seen a goalkeeper create, especially for where the ball was being taken from, just the people that you have in the line, the people that you chose, and then their position within the line, putting Maxi, on the end where the ball is going to come from. It was just...
It was
like a masterclass in setting up the wrong wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really pretty. It's something un-Sean Johnson-esque is what that was. That was pretty, pretty bad. And Maxi should never be in a wall, and he should never be taking penalties. Like, that's the two things. I love the guy. He's great. But those are two things that he should not be doing.
Yes, I without a doubt agree. This one I wanted to touch on like an episode or two ago, but I didn't, just because we try to keep the time down. But I guess it doesn't really matter now. One of the cool things, and I'm not sure if you saw the graphics going around on Twitter, was the difference between traveling in the United States versus the UK and Europe as a whole, really. And I guess I always thought about how it must be hard, and you always hear. I guess sometimes UK fans give Americans flack for not traveling to away games and things, but somebody, actually created the graphic to show the difference between the two things, and we'll probably flash them up on the screen here. But if somebody like us, like we traveled to LA, was to do something like that in Europe, I mean, you're talking like Russia to Spain type level of traveling, right? And that's a far cry from like, City going to play United in the same town. They probably take like a 10-minute bus drive, right? And I just thought it was so interesting to see those pictures, and I just wanted to find some way to share them with everybody else.
And I think that makes what we did last week even better, because we did that after traveling and having to change in time zones and everything. Like I think it's a lot more taxing than people realize.
Without a doubt, yeah.
It's exhausting to go and acclimate all the way across the country with 3-hour time difference, and like still get a good product out at the end of it. I think that's one of the hardest things for any European player coming over to MLS, or European coach too. I mean, Patrick Vieira talked about it. Romy talked about it too, and I think Ronnie's just learning because of last year we didn't travel because of COVID. We didn't make those big trips, but Thyla was really, really impressed with what the team did, and I think he just got a taste of what traveling in this league is about. It's massive as far as like game ability and exhaustion. Like it just takes something out of you to make that big trip and to have to do that. And you're right, it would be like literally like Barcelona to Moscow or something like that.
Yeah, which is nuts. It's just, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought we would, bring that up because those graphics are so like mind blowing to me. Like because I always did know about it, and then of course there were some, like you said, Europeans that came over and were vocal about it. Somebody like Wayne Rooney, who used to complain about the traveling when he was with DC, he was extremely vocal about it, and I'm not sure why it got so popular over the weekend, but it was crazy.
Talking point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably. I'm not sure. I think we touched on everything so far.
Yeah.
I just think to end it off on I guess the best note possible, going into when we're off of this break, I'm just that game is gonna control so much in my mind.
New England.
Yeah. And I know it's not it's not the LAFC again, but it's important to like set that tone again and pull whatever bit of momentum we can back from the LA game, and hopefully Tati can keep going, and we won't need Hebert to come back and like kill it, because I don't think he will right away, at least with the injury and everything. So going into this week, when we're off break, I'm super excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. This next game, this New England game, is going to be huge. I mean, just because they're number one in the conference, we're vying for number one in the conference, and I don't know why we're not getting respect from more of the pundits in MLS right now. Like it's crazy that Philadelphia is ranked higher than us in the power rankings. I'm just gonna say it right now, it's just insane because we beat them 2-0.
We're gonna go another 30.
It just drives me crazy, but it is. This is gonna be a big sort of. It could be a season-defining sort of moment for the team. And I'm glad we're doing it home, and New England has to travel. Bruce Arena has a good coach, and he's going to have them. They're going to be ready to go too. But we have new weapons, and I think these new weapons are going to be really effective. I mean, really effective. If what we saw that last 25 minutes in LA means anything at all, it's going to be a really, really, really great summer of soccer for us.
And I will leave it on that, and I won't go on my tangent about how horrible the analysts are for the MLS, because there's 30 minutes of an episode that will never be seen about it, and how horrible the power rankings are. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming out every time.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
I love talking soccer. Yeah, it's good to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have you on in the future again. And just thanks to everybody that listens, that watches, everything like that. Look forward to another one. We're planning on having somebody else come on. We don't know exactly who yet. We got to send our DMs out and everything like that and see what we can do. So you'll hear from us soon. You'll hear from somebody else soon. Yeah.
And we'll get this intro done correctly the first time and not have to do 10 takes.
And it's an outro.
It is an outro, so I've already messed up. Post 90 on all platforms.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter if you want us to see us and interact with us while we live tweet games. We'll see you guys next week. See you guys later.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.